Hey guys, sorry about that. This was supposed to get started at 11:30. Um, I went out for a walk, did some push-ups, did some planks, threw some clothes in the dryer, and then I got a phone call, an important phone call, so I couldn't just jump off that phone call. But here we are. So, wow, I see three comments here. I think I know who this person is. No, okay, I thought it was Abdul Gaines. What's up, Jay Bones? I'm going to let Abdul Gaines know that I'm doing this because he's very, very passionate about this. And then I will make an announcement over on my original Big Discussions 76 channel in case anyone else wants to listen in. I know Black Uru came to my Jim Harbaugh discussion yesterday, which I appreciated. But there are also a lot of folks who are continuing to boycott the NFL. So there are folks over there on my original channel who might say, you know what, screw this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to keep this one probably to about an hour, unless folks really want to come and say something, because this is a double header for me. I'm doing something Black history related over on my original channel. I'm going to simulcast that again on my original channel and my science channel. So this is a double header. I haven't done this in a while. Let's see. This is a very, very hot topic. This Brian Flores thing. A lot of people are emotionally invested in it. Oh, Wolf 58 says it's been a while. Good to see you again, Dr. Dunbar. Thank you, Wolf. I just did a stream yesterday about Harbaugh hanging around. So it's been an interesting January for the Michigan fan base. Let me make this announcement. Let's see. And then I have an article to read from ESPN, which I think is a reputable source, at least as it relates to the NFL. And then I'll get this started. Just bear with me, J Bones and Wolf 58. All right. So that's done. So I'm going to switch back and we'll get this thing started. All right. Let me sit back so my head isn't chopped off by the camera. All right, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. Please like this stream if you're watching it live. Please like it if you're watching it on the playback. Please share it and please subscribe. I am on this channel right now, I'm stuck at 174. The next milestone would be 1,100. So if you're not subbed over here, please sub. Of course, I think Michigan football is the main course. But I, of course, want to, as a YouTube content creator and as a capitalist, I want to spread it out a little bit. It'd be really cool if I could get more NFL traction over here. But as John U. Bacon said in his books and in his visits to the DMV to present his books, the passion for the college football fan bases tends to run much deeper than for the pro franchises. There's something about the maize and blue, the scarlet and gray, the crimson tide, the Florida Gators, orange and blue. There's something about those schools and those fight songs that just runs a little deeper than for the pro teams. The pro teams now with free agency, players can jump around. The owners and the general managers, they can cut the players. The contracts aren't guaranteed. And it's different than with your college franchise. I mean, your colleges, your college programs, they're not franchises. Though some would argue that the NCAA football is a semi-pro amateur league. Anyway, Jay Bones is in the house. Appreciate that. Wolf58 says, Flores referred to the NFL as a plantation. I've been saying that for years. Yeah, this is a very, very a lot of people are very, very emotional and charged over this. Right now there are 32 franchises in the NFL. And so the question is, how many black coaches should you have across those 32 franchises? I mean, I can name off several black coaches over the years. Growing up, I think the first one I saw was Art Shell. He coached the then LA Raiders. You had Denny Green. You had Ray Rhodes. You had Tony Dungy, Lovie Smith, Herman Edwards. You play to win the game. Herm was in there for a while. I think Romeo Crennel, I think he was handed the keys to the Cleveland Browns for a little while. Have I forgotten anybody? Lovey, Tony Dungy. Most recently, Brian Flores, who's at the heart of this. Oh, Mike Tomlin. Thank you, Kareem. Thank you. Mike Tomlin has been the captain down in Pittsburgh for a while now. Geez, has it been 10 years? He's been there, it seems like forever. And now, most recently, Brian Flores is at the eye of the storm in terms of the Rooney Rule and whether or not black coaches are being given a proper chance to coach these NFL franchises. So I have an article. Kareem Henry says one of the best coaches in the NFL. Well, you know what, Kareem, Abdul Gaines, he's not here. He must be busy, or as Roger says, he must be making sandwiches. He pointed out that Mike Tomlin, as long as he's been in Pittsburgh, he hasn't hired enough black coordinators, or he hasn't promoted enough black coordinators. So he's not beyond criticism as well. Someone like Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid's right-hand man in Kansas City, a lot of people are scratching their heads and wondering why Eric Bieniemy hasn't been giving a head coaching job yet. And for those of you who don't know, I'm sure everyone here does, there's the Rooney Rule. And I think the Rooney Rule states that they have to interview each franchise has to interview 3 black coaching candidates. So this has been going on for a while. I think Brian Flores, I know that he was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins And I think he's had enough. So he's thrown down the gauntlet and he's issued a lawsuit against, I think, the Dolphins and the NFL. We're going to read it in this article. But it's interesting. The NFL can't seem to escape, even now with them painting equality for all and equal rights on their fields. The NFL just can't seem to escape social issues. There was there was Cap, there was the kneeling, there was Jerry Jones and the owners getting out there and kneeling with the players. There was Black Lives Matter. There was all of that. But even before Cap and Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and all those different things, this whole discussion about whether or not there were enough black coaches and whether or not the NFL was making a fair effort to hire black coaches. This was going on for a while. This was going on even before Colin Kaepernick and Black Lives Matter and that whole thing. But I'm just saying this to say that it's funny. I was thinking earlier that the NFL just can't seem to escape this type of thing. So, but I think, in our society, clearly, I think racism may always be a part of the United States. In my current 9 to 5, I don't know if I should say this. Let me choose my words wisely here. Race may always be a part of the United States, and in certain workplaces, I'll just say that there are multiple dynamics going on. And in certain workplaces, management knows who it wants to run the joint. They know how many women they want. They know how many black people they want. They know how many black men and black women they want. They know how many Hispanics they want. They know, so management does what management does. It doesn't always make sense to us on the ground level, but certainly across sectors, whether it's government or the private sector, in athletics, management does what it wants. Abdul Gaines, our guest of honor, is here. I'm going to read his comments, then I'm going to jump into this article because, as I said, today is a double header for me. Abdul Gaines, Kareem, this is directed at your coach. He says, Mike Tomlin is not the advocate for black coaches he should be. Tony Dungy went through the door for black coaches and kept it open. Tomlin went through the door and closed it behind him. Whoa. Wolf 58 says, most NFL franchises pay lip service to the Rooney Rule. I'm listening says, good morning. Abdul Gaines says, 15 years at his job. He's never hired a black offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. Patrick Graham, a black defensive coordinator, was most recent defensive coordinator for the Giants. He was interviewed by the Steelers, but he is now signed on as the Vegas defensive coordinator. Wolf 58 says, more often than not, they already know who they're going to hire as head coach. Yep, same thing. I will say this, same thing in the federal government, and probably the same thing. Corporate America might be the only place where they do a legitimate, fair, and fresh search for their new CEOs or their new talent. But other arenas, yeah, oftentimes they already know that they're going to hire somebody or that they have someone in mind, and they give the appearance of a fair competition, but it's not always necessarily a fair competition. Abdul Gaines says the NFL should be sued, and Congress definitely needs to get involved in this issue of black coaches being denied opportunities for becoming head coaches. And Abdul Gaines says Tomlin is more than fine being the only black head coach in the NFL. He's more than fine being the HNIC when it comes to black coaches in the NFL. I don't know if YouTube will flag this for me saying what the HNIC is. I first heard about that in Lean On Me, starring Morgan Freeman, and Robert Guillaume was in that with him. Abdul Gaines, if you want to spell that out in the chat for people to see it, go ahead, spell it out. But I think Leslie Frazier, who was our defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills now, I think I think Leslie Frazier was handed the keys to a franchise once, and I think he was the head coach maybe in Minnesota before getting fired and finding a new home in Buffalo. Kareem says, I stand with Mike Tomlin and I respect him as a coach regardless of his flaws at Abdul Gaines. So, okay. So we have a little Mike Tomlin back and forth. So let's go to the article here. A lot of people are being pulled into this. John Elway's, I think, is involved in this. Of course, Jason Whitlock, I think he sounded off about this. You know, I'm a man of many. I have multiple projects going on, so there's no way I can keep up with everything. But they've been talking about this all week. I think Angela Rye, Jamil Hill, they're all weighing in on this. So this is a really big deal, and this might force lasting change from the NFL establishment. So this reads as follows. Brian Flores sues the NFL three teams as former Miami Dolphins coach alleges racism in hiring practices. Isn't it also interesting that this is taking place during Black History Month? You know, someone pointed that out. So this is off ESPN, and this is in the description box below. Okay. This is written by Marcel Louis Jacques. Guys, please hit the like button. The super chat is live if you want to super chat me anything. If you want to throw something in the tip jar via Cash App or PayPal, that information is here. Hey, Abdul, Tomlin's got what, 2 or 3 Super Bowls? 2 or 3? Really, Chris? Always good to see you pop up. How are you doing this Saturday? I'm also doing a doubleheader, a Black History Science doubleheader on my main channel, my original channel and my science channel. So you guys will see me again in the YouTube streets today. Okay, so this reads as follows. Brian Flores has sued the NFL and 3 teams, the Dolphins, the Broncos, and the Giants, alleging discrimination regarding his interview processes with Denver and New York and his firing last month by Miami. From what I'm hearing, one of the issues with Miami is that Brian Flores didn't really want Tua Tagovailoa. I think Abdul Gaines backed me up in the chat. I think he wanted Joe Burrow, which was, as you could see, was probably a better choice than Tua Tagovailoa. But there was friction there in Miami. There was friction there. Okay. The 58-page lawsuit was filed in Manhattan federal court Tuesday and seeks class action status. I'm not a lawyer, so what I think that means is maybe he wants to be reimbursed for the financial damages. I don't know. If there's a lawyer out there, someone please break that down. Abdul Gaines, if you know, please break that down. Super chat. Kareem, not Karen, thank you so much. She says, in a gold super chat, Abdul, I stand with Mike Tomlin. Kareem, I'm going to send you actually, my Instagram isn't working right now. I have to delete it off my phone and reload it. But there's someone, I went to undergrad with someone with the last name Henry from New York. And I want to ask you if you two are related, but I'll ask that offline. But thank you, Kareem, for the super chat. Flores alleges that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross attempted to incentivize him to tank or purposely lose games shortly after he was hired in 2019, with Ross allegedly offering Flores $100,000 for every loss that season. Flores says that as the team won games late in the season, Dolphins general manager Chris Greer told him Ross was mad that the on-field success was compromising the team's draft position. Oh, that's interesting. Additionally, Flores alleges that Ross pressured him into recruiting a prominent quarterback at the end of the 2019 season which the coach refused so as not to violate the NFL's tampering rules. I wonder if that's Tua. Ross then allegedly invited Flores onto a yacht for lunch in the winter of 2020, where he informed him that the quarterback was conveniently arriving at the marina for an impromptu meeting. Abdul, is that Tua Tagovailoa? Flores refused the meeting and left the yacht. Afterwards, Flores alleges he was treated with disdain and held out as someone who was non-compliant and difficult to work with. Yeah, a lot of owners and managers, and I've heard about this in my current arena. I'm going to be as discreet as possible. A lot of owners and managers below them, they don't necessarily want free thinkers and people who are going to think. They many owners and managers, they want yes men under them. Apparently, that's what I hear in my current arena. So by him not following these orders that Stephen Ross was giving him about the quarterback, he was showing himself to be a free thinker. And he probably has his own vision for the team. He's the head coach. He was fired January 10th, despite recording the Dolphins' first back-to-back winning seasons since 2003. They went 10-6 in 2020 and 9-8 in 2021. Isn't this also Bill Parcells and Robert Kraft and Terry Glenn? You know, they want you to cook the meal, but they don't want you to buy the groceries. It sounds like Stephen Ross wanted to buy the groceries, and he wanted Brian Flores to cook the meal. And Bill Parcells and Bob Kraft, they fell out over that. Flores also alleged that the Giants interviewed him last month for their head coaching vacancy for no other reason than compliance with the NFL's Rooney rule, which requires teams to interview minority candidates for their open positions. The league has amended that rule in recent years and now says teams must hold an in-person interview with at least one external minority candidate for any general manager or head coach opening. Flores alleged he spoke with the Giants via Zoom on January 18th prior to the team hiring former Buffalo Bills assistant general manager Joe Schoen as its GM on January 23rd. He said that the next day, Schoen finalized his interview date for January 27th, and Giants co-director of player personnel, Tim McDonald, texted Flores saying he hoped he would come in and win the effing job. However, hours later, Flores' lawsuit alleges he received a series of text messages from Patriots coach Bill Belichick, under whom Flores worked for 10 years in New England. In those texts, Bill Belichick told Flores he had heard from Buffalo and the New York Giants that you are their guy. Flores asked Belichick to clarify whether he meant to talk to him or Brian Daboll, who was also in the running for the Giants job. Belichick acknowledged his error and informed him, that the Giants wanted Daboll. So for everyone who doesn't know, Brian Daboll was our offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. So his name came up in my last Buffalo Bills live stream with the G-Man, where we talked about what the Bills need to do to get over the hump. And I think Brian Daboll received criticism for a lack of creativity in terms of the Buffalo Bills offensive game plan this year. Abdul Gaines, if that's correct, please back me up in the chat. Wow. So they wanted Daboll instead of Brian Flores. Belichick says, sorry, I effed this up. I double checked and misread the text. I think they are naming Brian Daboll. I'm sorry about that, Belichick allegedly texted. Woof. But guys, this is the real world. Hiring practices, they're presented to be fair, but organizations oftentimes already know who they want. So Flores alleges that his January 27th interview with the Giants, which satisfied the Rooney rule because he was the first minority candidate to interview in person, was a sham. New York hired Dable, the former Bills offensive coordinator, a day later. Flores alleges that a similar scenario occurred when he interviewed with the Broncos for their head coaching job in 2019. Flores says that then Denver general manager John Elway, among others, arrived to the interview an hour late and hungover, alleging they had been drinking heavily the night before. The Giants, Dolphins, and Broncos responded separately to the allegations Tuesday. The Giants said they were pleased and confident with their hiring process. We interviewed an impressive and diverse group of candidates, the team said. The fact of the matter is, Brian Flores was in the conversation to be our head coach until the 11th hour. Ultimately, we hired the individual we felt was most qualified to be our next head coach. The Dolphins vehemently denied the allegations against them while noting they are proud of the diversity and inclusion throughout our organization. The implication that we acted in a manner inconsistent with the integrity of the game is incorrect, the team said. And the Broncos detailed their January 5th, 2019 interview with Flores, saying it started promptly at 7:30 a.m. in Providence, Rhode Island, lasted three and a half hours, and was conducted with 5 team executives. Pages of detailed notes, analysis, and evaluations from our interview demonstrate the depth of our conversation and sincere interest in Mr. Flores as a head coaching candidate, the team said. Our process was thorough and fair to determine the most qualified candidate for our head coaching position. The Broncos will vigorously defend the integrity and values of our organization and its employees from such baseless and disparaging claims. Denver ultimately hired Vic Fangio for the position. In the lawsuit, Wigder Law LLP, the firm representing Flores, said the coach hopes to shine a light on the racial injustices that take place inside the NFL. Among the areas Flores said he would like to see addressed are increased influence of Black individuals in hiring, an increase in the objectivity of hiring / terminating GMs, head coaches, and coordinators, an increase in the number of Black coordinators, incentives for hiring / retention of Black GMs, head coaches, and coordinators, transparency of pay for GMs, head coaches, and coordinators. And finally, the lawsuit seeks unspecified damages from the NFL, which called the claims without merit Tuesday. I think we're towards the end here. The NFL and our clubs are deeply committed to ensuring equitable employment practices and continue to make progress in providing equitable opportunities throughout our organizations, the league said in a statement. Diversity is core to everything we do, and there are few issues on which our clubs and our internal leadership team spend more time. We will defend against these claims which are without merit. Flores, who turns 41 later this month, had been tied to head coaching vacancies with the Houston Texans and the New Orleans Saints since his firing by the Dolphins. New Orleans interviewed him for its head coaching vacancy Tuesday, according to ESPN's Mike Triplett. God has gifted me with a special talent to coach the game of football, but the need for change is bigger than my personal goals, Flores said in a statement put out by the Wigder firm. In making the decision to file the class action complaint today, I understand that I may be risking coaching the game that I love and that has done so much for my family and me. My sincere hope is that by standing up against systemic racism in the NFL, others will join me to ensure that positive change is made for generations to come. And then finally, Douglas Wigder, a lawyer for Flores, told the New York Times that Wigder Law LLP is looking into allegations from other coaches who could be part of the class action suit. He noted that Flores reached out to the firm on the same day he received the Belichick text messages. So all that's what's going on. This is a pretty hot topic, so I wanted to, and it's a relevant topic. I mean, we've been hearing for years that the NFL is an old boys league or an old boys network. I think at least as it relates to the coaching positions. It took a little while. It took decades for black quarterbacks to be able to break in. Now it looks like black quarterbacks are being allowed the chance to compete based upon their ability to play. I think Warren Moon, well, several quarterbacks had to do the heavy lifting to open the doors for the guys we have today. But there's something about those head coaching positions that and those coordinator positions that whoever it is that's in charge, they really want to tightly control those in terms of who gets them. And race and ethnicity seem to, now there's only 32. There's only 32 of those positions, but they seem to be tightly regulated. And certainly there are several candidates of color, but those who are allowed the opportunity to get in there seem to be far and few in between. I'm going to if anyone wants to come and say something, I'll drop the link. If someone wants to come and say something, I see Buckeye Alex is there. Otherwise, I'll read your comments and then I'll shut this down because, as I said, today is a double header for me. So that's there. I think we have a bit of a back and forth between Kareen and Abdul Gaines here about Mike Tomlin. Abdul Gaines says, there was some talk that Flores wanted Burrow, but they did go with Tua. I don't know why they did that. Burrow's a taller kid, and as you can see, I mean, you could see it during that national title game. Let's see, Burrow was with LSU, and they knocked off Clemson. You could see Burrow's talent there. So that was a if I was the GM or the owner, I would have taken Burrow. Anyway, Abdul Gaines says, there was some talk that Flores wanted Burrow, but they did go with Tua. Even with a less than stellar quarterback situation, Flores has won 19 games in the last 2 seasons. And this also begs the question, do franchises tank their seasons in order to move up in the draft? And according to this, if Stephen Ross did that, then the answer is yes. Will58 says, that clown, Jason Whitlock, thinks black athletes and coaches should sit down and shut up. I see Buckeye Alex is here, so I will read this comment from Abdul Gaines, who's been very, very adamant about this. And then I'll bring Buckeye Alex up. Abdul Gaines says, much respect, Kareem, but I have to keep it 100. You can stand with Tomlin and his pinky ring. Doesn't Tomlin have 2, or does he have just 1 Super Bowl ring? I don't know.
Okay.
Buckeye Alex, what's going on?
What say you?
We can't hear you. Is your mic turned on?
Yeah.
Oh no, my speakers aren't turned on. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I think it's an interesting topic. One thing as you're reading through things, I'm curious: is this an issue because the Rooney Rule has been put in place? I'm curious how many actual people this happens to, not just necessarily black coaches, but coaches in general, up and coming coaches, where um, you have organizations just when they want to hire somebody, they just hire who they want to hire, and unfortunately, I mean, I definitely think that they should go through the process, but um, it's just kind of a random thought. I definitely think there are some huge issues, especially with the Belichick text um, and things like that. So I mean, I think the NFL in general is a copycat league.
Mm-hmm.
Guys get hired under certain coaching trees like McVay, LaFleur, like all those guys were kind of under. Can't remember which coach they were under, but they were pretty much under one guy. And I think when you have a tree of coaches that maybe a tree of black coaches that get hired and they actually do well, like Flores, then maybe the league will copycat itself and maybe go after some African American coaches uh, or candidates than they typically would.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. That when you look at the NFL in a classic sense, there are all these different trees. There's the okay, he just dropped off. There was the Bill Walsh tree. There was the Bill Parcells tree. So many coaches came out of those trees, and yeah, that's a good point. So he had to drop off. I know he's enjoying himself somewhere. So I'm going to read through some more of these comments. Kareem says, I'm loyal and he is my guy, Abdul Gaines. Okay, I already read that one. Wolf says, it's unfortunate because Flores will never work in the NFL again. That's how the NFL works. He's going to be treated just like Colin Kaepernick. That's a good point. That's a really good point. That in doing this, he may have inadvertently forever exiled himself from the NFL. And the NFL has shown that they can freeze out people if they want to. So as long as the guidelines are in place, the rules are in place, and they follow those rules, and they said, we followed the rules, what do you want us to do? Then at that point, they can technically hire whomever they want. Yeah, that's a good point. So, but fortunately for Brian Flores, let me slow down. Fortunately for Brian Flores, he can always go down to the NCAA, and there seems to be a surge of prominent coaches and athletes now going over to the HBCUs. So it's not like he'd be totally locked out from football, but the NFL, at least for the near future, he may have this may have long lasting consequences for his career. Abdul Gain says, Black coaches need to look at football in a broader fashion. College football is giving away money right now, and Black coaches are getting bags dropped on them quite a bit. He says Stanford's David Shaw and Penn State's James Franklin are Black coaches who are getting paid. Michigan State's Mel Tucker is the highest paid Black coach in America. We need to know these names. If you're new coming in, please hit the like button. At least get my likes up to double digits. That helps a lot. Kareem says the lawsuit hopefully will give a few more Black men jobs. However, I hope Flores has everything in order because they're gonna really push back hard on him. I'm gonna read this comment, then I'm gonna bring Kareen up, who's backstage. MLR says Abdul Gaines facts. Developing football players at the college level and winning championships will give Black head coaches more exposure. What's going on, Kareem? Looks like you're having to defend Mike Tomlin against Abdul Gaines there in the chat.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, hello, everyone. It is what it is. You know how I stand for Mike Tomlin. So this not even is about him anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
It's about Brian Flores. He does have a point, and I hope I think they're definitely gonna settle this lawsuit because he does have strong evidence against them. So I think this would lead to more um black coaches. They definitely gonna have to hire one or two now because they're on people's watching them closely, and I think there's what six more positions open. I think that they said coaching
wow.
positions opening now, so they definitely gonna have to give one or two of those positions to even a black person. I hope they probably gonna do maybe a person of color, but they definitely gonna have to give one to a black person. I think before this year there were what three of them. There was Flores, another guy that they fired, and Tomlin. So I'm just hoping that with this lawsuit, more black men will get the actual chance instead of this fake um interview that they was doing, this fake thing that it was doing to them, which is is wrong. And these hiring practices is really BS. We all know this.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say, and I shot a video. Well, I did a live stream on Ben Carson 2 days ago, who I know is not popular, and I actually have a follow up voiceover that I'm going to upload shortly. The other part of this is there's going to be that question: is the person getting hired because they're black? Because this quota needs to be filled. And as a professional, you want to be hired based upon your merits. You don't want to be hired because of a quota, and you don't want you the respect of your peers is important. I think. So I'm just saying that that's another side of this. I think it's an unintended consequence, but you want to be hired because because of your merits and your talents. And unfortunately, when it becomes about color, the question arises: okay, did that person just get that job because they needed someone of that ethnic group?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't agree with that, but it's the way our world is, where that they have to be forced to give someone that's not a part of their boys' club a chance. Unfortunately, that's the world we're living. Even though we want everything to be on an equal playing field, we want everybody to be judged by their merits, not because the way they look. Unfortunately, as we can see, the NFL don't play by those rules, and the government gonna have to force them to do that. That's the lot we have now. Like I said, I want good quarterback. I want good coaches, and Flores. He had a good record. I have to give him that. He had a good record. I know he had some issues because I listened to a lot of not a lot, but I am these channels that have Miami Dolphin channels. So I've heard stories about him, but that's not the issue. The issue is their hiring practices is not fair, and they're not doing what they said they were going to do. If they're going to follow the Rooney rules, follow it and do it properly, and give people um, a good assessment. Don't just bring them in and play games with them. Like, who have time to waste? Like, come on, don't that. I think. Listen, for them with all the drama and all the stuff that they had, I don't understand why they would do this. I mean, they just want more and more scandal on themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, Kareem, did you have anything else you want to say?
No, that's it. Thank you for having me.
All right,
Go
thank you for coming.
Tomlin. Go Steelers Nation. Bye.
Go Bills. All right, I'm gonna read through some more of these comments, and I'm gonna wrap this up. You guys have been saying a lot. I appreciate the participation over here. I want to get more traction with my NFL content over here. Let's see. I just read that one. Okay. Wolf 58 says, at this point, the only person of color in the NFL ownership is Shahid Khan in Jacksonville. Alex said BCM. Abdul Gaines says Tony Elliott was making $2 million a year as the offensive coordinator at Clemson. He has been hired as the head coach at Virginia, hired by Carla Williams, Virginia's black female athletic director. Buckeye Alex laughed at that, I think. Well, he laughed at something. Please hit the like button if you're new coming in. Please help at least get my likes into double digits. Kareem says, damn, John Elway drunk. My uncles used to make fun of John Elway, and they always used to say that he couldn't read a defense. Denver is the only franchise for sale at this point, I think. Wolf58 says, he says, I don't think he'll get any of those jobs. He'll be blackballed forever. Let's see. Oh, I know what this is. BCM stands for Black Coaches Matter. I think Abdul Gaines or someone took that from Black Lives Matter. Abdul Gaines says black coaches need to strongly look at the college game, look at the MAC. Northern Illinois won the MAC title in 2021, and they have a black coach. Get into the college game, brothers. Yes, Whitlock definitely is on the wrong side of this issue. Abdul Gaines says Tomlin has one ring, a pinky ring. Abdul Gaines says, what's up, Alex, with a black fist. Charles Irby says, Kareem, not Karen, I doubt it. The good old boy club is too entrenched in the NFL. Please hit the like button if you haven't. Please subscribe if you haven't. Charles Irby says, I don't think it will lead to more black coaches. It will lead to more token interviews, but they will still hire recycled white coaches. It's amazing how some guys keep getting jobs over and over and over again, even when they stunk up the joint. Though Bill Belichick wasn't successful. He was moderately successful in Cleveland. Of course, we know what he did in New England. Pete Carroll didn't have a good first stint with the Jets. Of course, we know what he did afterwards. So sometimes it's time and place, but definitely we've seen certain guys get opportunities over and over and over again. Let's see. Wolf says Flores has never worked in college football. He'd have to start at the bottom. College, in large part, is about relationships with high school coaches and programs. He has none of those. Charles Irby says the Rooney Rule. He also says, let's be honest. I don't know if you intentionally made that an S instead of a W. Shite folks feel more comfortable around their own people. Black folks have to accept that they will hire a white guy first. He says, I hope Robert Smith is able to purchase the Denver Broncos. If you guys want to make a donation via Cash App or PayPal, that information is right there. Abdul Gaines says, I hope Robert Smith buys the Broncos too at Charles Irby and hires a black head coach. Ray Alexander says, at Abdul Gaines, the black coach over advocating for Pookie and Ray Ray is also why there are so few black men in STEM. I think he means the black culture over advocating for Pookie and Ray Ray is also why there are so few black men in STEM, in banking, in the legal profession, as well as college and graduate school. So Ray Alexander is coming in from an educational angle there. Charles Irby says, Abdul Gaines, if Robert Smith is hired as a black coach, white people would scream reverse racism. And then MLR says, forget black NFL coaches and let's talk about black NFL owners. Once again, guys, please hit the like button. Charles Irby says, Shahid Khan is a Punjabi Pakistani man who was from the elites of Pakistan. And Abdul Gaines says, at Charles Irby, let them shout reverse racism until the cows come home. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. All right. I think that's a good place to wrap this up. I have to get ready for another stream, which I think Ray Alexander will also enjoy over on my original channel and my science channel. I'm going to be simulcasting to the two of them. I'll read this last comment from Abdul Gaines. It says, at Ray Alexander, your point is absolutely on point. Black men fetishize Pookie and Ray Ray as all right. We're going beyond the scope of this discussion here. Charles Irby says, I don't see much investment in Pookie and Ray Ray, nor in young black men who have academic prowess. All right, now the manosphere is coming over. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I want to thank everyone who participated in the stream, in the chat. And if you're watching on the playback, if you want to make a donation to the channel, throw something in the tip jar. That information is below in the description box. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Right now, I'm at 1,074. I'll be doing something in about an hour, Black History Month related, over on my original channel and my science and technology channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. Will Brian Flores win this case? Will he be forever blackballed in the NFL from this point on? Will there be more black head coaches in the NFL? Let's keep an eye on this and see where it goes. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. If you're new, the link to my newsletter is in the description box below, as is the link to my book project, The Engineers of Western New York Basketball Story. So with that, I will talk to you guys the next time, and I'll see some of you later on, most likely. All right, bye-bye.